Welcome to the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketing podcast. This is Stephen Rothberg. I'm your co-host and the founder of College Recruiter. Joined today by my co-host.
I'm Peter Zollman, and that grave wince was because it sounded like we were getting some horrific echo and feedback. Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Stephen. And we've got Richard Collins with us from south of London. He is founder and CEO of CV Resume Wallet, and he's a serial entrepreneur who's done a lot of stuff. The episode is titled something about CPQVA, and we'll ask him what the heck is CPQVA, because what is CPQVA? But we're going to start with what is CV and Resume Wallet, and what was your big announcement about programmatic?
Hello, everybody. Thanks for inviting me along, Stephen, Peter. It's very nice to be here. So, where shall I start? CV Wallet, shall we? Is a good place, or a bit of background? What would you prefer?
Maybe
tell us
a
about
little bit of background about like how you got here, because I think that's really relevant.
Yeah, okay. Because I think, as you say, that's part of the journey, isn't it? You know, you kind of end up doing one of these things, and the journey is a big part of it. But you know, I've been in the industry.
Still on the Indeed payroll, right?
No, I'm not.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
No comment. But yeah, 1995 started doing all this kind of digital marketing recruitment thing. So my background originally was selling recruitment ads in the back of a magazine, and then I worked as a recruitment consultant. But in 1995, 96, I ended up running my first job board. And then sort of since then done a few startups, co-founded three businesses that we've exited. So the first one was an ad agency, second one was a recruitment marketing agency, and I think the one that people probably know me best for was our most recent one, which was ClickIQ, that I say we sold to Indeed in 2019. Stayed on there for a few years, Peter, and left last year to set up CV Wallet. So it's been an interesting journey, and one in which, you know, seen lots of change. And I think that what's interesting is this moment in time where AI, blockchain, all of these things are happening at the same time. And the idea that having sort of sold and exited a business, Beverly, my co-founder and wife, was looking forward to a nice retirement, and suddenly the brain started working and everything's changing and all these opportunities. And sure enough, we're back doing another startup. So madness, frankly.
So CV Wallet / Resume Wallet is?
Yeah, it's interesting question. It's we kind of a talent marketplace, for want of a better word, in that, you know, we bring recruiters and job seekers together. But what we're actually trying to do is we're trying to get to a point where we can deliver qualified, verified applicants for employers, basically. And we do it in sort of three sort of core parts of it. So first is obviously there's a kind of sourcing piece. So we built this programmatic sourcing technology, which is kind of cool. So that sort of generates applicants. We then have a verification platform, which is what we put through to get from clicks and applicants, and that's a way that we turn them into qualified and verified applicants. And then the third part is the job seeker app, and that's actually the most important part of those three things, because what that does is allows our job seekers to, when they've gone through a verification process, store that data on their phone in an app so that they can reuse it in the future. And those are the sort of three core elements that sort of sit together. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is we're trying to push away from that sort of very low value CPC advertising model. And particularly in a world of generative AI, where we're suddenly seeing loads more unsuitable applicants coming through to employers. Those applications are increasingly homogenous. You know, they all look the same because they're written by generative AI. And the amount of, problem, hallucinations, people lying on CVs, it was always a problem anyway. But when you sprinkle AI on it, you've got a really big problem. So, we've got all of these issues happening within the advertising industry. And the thing that we believe more than anything is that actually what we want to do is we want to deliver the people who are the right ones for the job, the shortlist. We're not trying to find magically this is the one person that you will hire. We want to find the 5% of those people who've applied that you want to go on an interview. And if we can do that in a automated, low-cost way, then that's basically what we're trying to deliver.
What excites me the most about CV Wallet / Resume Wallet, which also for viewers who are wondering like why we're using those interchangeably, CV is much more common in the entire world, but for Americans, we sort of feel like we have to use other words just to confuse people.
No, technically there is a difference.
Really,
there is a difference, but they're kind of, yeah. I mean, if you're in the UK, you're much more likely to refer to your CV. If you're in the US, you're much more likely to refer to your resume. But for all intents and purposes, it's kind of like a document that summarizes the work you've done, where you've gone to school, that kind of thing. In any case, when I started to hear about CV Wallet and understood the difference, the problem that you were trying to solve, it was apparent to me that you're trying to do something that almost nobody else is, which in my mind is that verification. Are you a real person, first and foremost? And also, did you actually go to that school? Did you actually have that job? And I've seen you write a lot about the use of AI by candidates, real or fictitious. And maybe you can talk about the verification, why you're doing that, how you're doing that, the benefit to the customer.
So when we first started out, what we wanted to do was, and the reason we started with the app, we believe that a job seeker should be able to own and control all their data. I've got all these privacy issues, and particularly in Europe, the whole GDPR thing that goes on. We wanted to allow job seekers to store all this information on their own phones in a kind of decentralized manner. But we also wanted to let them prove what they're saying, because, it's things like it actually started out where our daughter was applying for one of the big 4 accountancy firms. And they put her through an assessment. And then she applied for the other 3, and they did exactly the same assessment. And we thought, what if we could store that proof that she's done that assessment, and then other people could find her based upon that storing of proof, right? Saying, I've got this skill, I can prove this skill. Now can employers find my details based on that? So that's where we started out from. We then had, part way through the development process, the whole sort of AI thing happened, which obviously threw a huge spanner in the work. Well, it didn't throw a spanner in the work, but it suddenly made the opportunity or the problem so much greater, because this need for proof was so much bigger. And, there's a couple of core things that we do. So the first and the obvious ones is things like, how do you prove someone's ID? So we have within the app, and you can do it on the web as well, you basically enable your camera, it looks at your face, it sees that you're alive. You can then upload your official government ID passport. It then compares your picture to that, pulls the details, stores that information. So that person is who they say they are. They're an actual human being. And then it's about things like, what about your skills, your qualifications, your experience? And each one is slightly different. And it generally is about integrating with third-party databases through APIs. There's a bit of blockchain stuff in there. And we definitely see that as being important in the future. But I think people get a little bit obsessed with the blockchain thing. For us, it's just, if you're going to verify something, there's 3 ways you can verify something. You can say that you've done it. You can upload some proof. So here's my certificate that I have done it. Or I can ask the person who's issued that particular piece of information, has that individual actually done it? Peter, question.
So we haven't yet gotten to the, what on earth is CPQVA, or is it QCP or whatever?
And this I think is the value in my mind. This is what's really exciting from the customer standpoint.
And we're running out of time, so take about 1.5 minutes, and then we're going to wrap you up.
So we lived in a world, haven't we, from CPC. And then we sort of gradually moved to cost per application. And an application, particularly in a world of where you're getting so many of them, in any advertising campaign, you throw away 95% of the people who apply.
Yeah.
So we're interested in the 5%. So we want to know is, firstly, are they qualified? So CPQA. And secondly, can we prove in some way that they are who they say they are and qualified in the same way? So that's the V. So there we get for cost per qualified and verified applicant. And that's ultimately what we're trying to deliver. And that, I believe, is as close to the higher as you can get or would want to get from a sourcing advertising perspective.
So run through that again. Cost per qualified and verified
applicant.
Sounds
kind
like
of works, doesn't it?
Sounds like if it's not quite the holy grail, it's pretty close.
It is, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I mean, and as an owner of a job board, if we could go to our customers and say, this candidate meets your minimum level of qualifications, which as an industry, we have to figure out what that means, and that they're actually a real candidate. That, those are two different things. We're seeing a lot more use of AI to pretend to mimic candidates. Lots of stories about cybersecurity, people pretending to be IT workers. They're actually not actual humans. Then they get access to your systems, and big problems with that.
Or they live in North Korea, or they live in somewhere where they cannot necessarily be trusted. So,
correct.
And what we're trying to do is to help, provide the technology that allows job boards to enable this stuff. Our route to market is very much through partnering. So, we've just announced a partnership program along that verification piece that allows us to take that technology, add it on top of existing job boards technology, and deliver that type of experience for their clients.
Well, and I understand we'll see you at RecBuzz, where you can talk more about it.
Absolutely.
Okay. On that note, I think we have covered CPQVA. We have covered AI a smidge. We have covered CV wallet, resume wallet, and we've covered up Stephen long enough that he can now come out from under his blanket in frigid Minnesota and go on with the rest of his day.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Peter is fun as always, mostly because of our guests.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Cheers, Richard.
Take care.
Okay, guys.
Bye-bye.